Konnichiwa.
こんにちは。
I hope I said it right. What's up, people? Today we're watching History of Japan by Bill Wurtz. I watched The History of the Entire World, I guess, by Bill Wurtz. It was very funny, very creative. I learned a lot. At the same time, it raised a lot of questions for me, and it made me even more interested to learn about history. I saw that they have a video about history of Japan. I know very little about Japan and basically the whole East Asia. So I think it's a good place to start. If you have video suggestions for me related to history, please go ahead and let me know in the comments. Also, if you subscribe to my channel, it would mean a lot to me. It would motivate me to make more of these videos. But without further ado, let's do this.
Japan is an island by the sea filled with volcanoes, and it's
It is beautiful. I've seen some pictures.
Japan might not have been here. In the year negative 40,000, it was here, and you could walk to it, and some people walked to it. Then it got warmer,
Some people walk to it. Where did they come from?
icebergs melted, it became an island, and now
There were icebergs in Japan before people came in.
lots of trees, because it's warmer. So now there's people on the island. They're basically sort of hanging out in between the mountains, eating nuts off trees, and using the latest technology, like stones, bowls, ding dong. It's the outside world, and they have technology from the future, like really good metal and crazy rice farms. Now you can make a lot of rice really, really quickly. That means if you own the farm, you own a lot of food, which is something everybody needs to survive.
It's crazy that how farming changed the whole world and how we live. It basically made societies, I assume.
So that makes you king. Rice farming and rice kingdoms spread across the land, all the way to here. The most important kingdoms were here, 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 and here. But
these were all kingdoms inside Japan.
this one was the most important.
Yamato.
Ruled by a heavenly superperson, or emperor for short. Knock knock, get the door. It's religion. The new prince wants everyone to try this hot new religion.
Who was this prince?
Emperor for short. Knock knock, get the door. It's religion. The new prince wants everyone to try this hot new religion.
Buddhism? Wait, what? I thought Buddhism came from India.
Religion from Biekt.
That's not India. I don't think that's India. It must be like Korea or something, right?
Please try this religion, he
But isn't Buddhism from India? Please educate me.
said. No, said everybody. Try it, he said. No, said everybody again, quieter this time. And so the religion was put into place, and all the rules that came with it. Then the government was
So it was kind of forced to people.
taken over by another clique, and they made some reforms, like making the government govern more, and making the government more like China's government, which is a government that governs more. Hi, China, they said. Hi, dipshit, said China.
Yo! Calm down, bro. Be nice.
Can you call us something else?
Oh.
Dipshit, said Japan. Like what? Said China. How about Sunrise Land?
Sunrise Land. Nihon. Nihon. Oh, does Japan mean Sunrise Land? That's interesting.
Said Japan.
It's a beautiful name.
And they stole China's alphabet and wrote a book about themselves. And then they made lots of poetry and art and another book about themselves. Then they stopped moving the capital every time the emperor died and kept it in one place for a while.
That's a lot of
And they
change.
conquered the north finally. Get that squared away. A rich hipster named Kukai is bored
Kukai.
with modern Buddhism, visits China, and learns a better version, which is more spiritual. Comes back, reinvents the alphabet, and causes art and literature to be great for
Yo, this guy changed the whole culture.
a long time. And the royal palace turned into such a dream world of art that they really didn't give a shit about running the country. So if you live outside the palace, how are you supposed to protect your shit from criminals? Hire a samurai.
Ah! That's what the samurai did. I have zero idea about the samurai. I just heard the name before in movies. That's it. I didn't even watch them. I just knew the name. That's it.
Everyone started
So they were protecting people's assets from criminals or people's lives, maybe.
hiring samurai. Rich, important people hired samurai. Poor
Yeah,
people who could not afford to hire samurai.
I thought
did not hire
so.
Samurai. The samurai became organized and powerful.
yeah. I was wondering, like, if the emperor or the ruler of the country cares only about their palaces and doing art and luxury stuff there, then these samurais with weapons and power military power, they become very powerful, no? They can just overthrow the emperor anytime they want.
More powerful than the government, so they made their own military government. Here, they let
Shogunate.
the emperor still be emperor, but the shogun is actually in control. Breaking news, the Mongols have invaded China.
We've invaded China,
Said the Mongols.
Please respect us, or else we might invade you as well.
Okay, said Japan.
Okay, come get it.
So the Mongols came over, ready for war, and died in a tornado. But they tried again, and had a nice time fighting with the Japanese, but then died in a tornado. And the
Damn.
emperor
They couldn't take over Japan. Interesting.
overthrows the shogunate. Then the shogunate overthrows him back, and
What? I thought if anyone was supposed to be overthrown, it should be the emperor by the shogunate. Because the emperor is like the official ruler of the country, even though the shogunate has the more power.
and moves to Kyoto and makes a new shogunate. And the emperor can still dress like an emperor if he wants. That's fine. Now there's more art. Like painting with less colors. Collaborative poetry.
That was interesting.
That's fine. Now there's more art. Like painting with less colors.
Are these real old paintings? That one like at the bottom left is very cool.
Collaborative poetry, plays, monkey fun, tea parties,
Monkey fun? What is that?
gardening, architecture, flowers. It's time for who's going to be the next shogun. Usually it's the shogun's kid, but the shogun doesn't have a kid, so he tries to get his brother to quit being a monk and be the next shogun. He says okay, but then the shogun has a kid. So now who's it gonna be? Vote now on your phones. And everyone voted so hard that the palace caught on fire and burned down. The shogun actually didn't care. He was off somewhere doing poetry. And
How? Like, I thought the emperor was weak because of just caring about their palace and doing poetry and art. But now the shogunate is doing the same. Or the shogun.
the whole country broke into pieces. Everyone is fighting with each other for local power, and it's anybody's game. Knock knock, it's Europe. No, they're not here to take over. They just want to sell some shit.
Wait,
Like,
what year
it's anybody's
was
game.
it?
Knock knock, it's Europe.
1558.
Here to take over. They just want to sell some shit, like clocks and guns and Jesus. So that's cool, but everyone's still fighting each other for
So Christianity was brought from Europe to Japan, but was it successful? Like, do we have a lot of Christians in Japan in modern day or not?
control. Now with guns. And wouldn't it be nice to control the capital, which right now is puppets with no one controlling them? This clan is ready to make a run for it, but first they have to, which right now is puppets with no one
Which
controlling
one?
them. This clan
Imagawa.
and is ready to make a run for it, but first they have to trample this smaller clan, which is in the way. Surprise, the smaller clan wins, and the leader of that clan steals the idea of invading the capital and invades the capital. And it goes very well. He's about halfway through conquering Japan when someone who works for him kills him, and then someone else who works for him kills them.
Yo, the betrayal.
That guy finishes conquering Japan, and then
He took over the whole country.
confiscated everybody's swords and made some rules.
That's smart, you know? Like, if you want to govern at that time, you gotta have, the first thing that you have to have is like the military power.
And now I'm going to invade Korea and then hopefully China, he said, and
Whoa, this guy was ambitious.
failed and also died. But before he died, he told these 5 guys to take care of his 5-year-old son until he's old enough to be the next ruler of Japan.
Yeah, right.
And the 5 guys said, yeah, right. It's not going to be this kid. It's going to be one of us, because we're grown-ups. And it's probably going to be this guy, who happens to be way
Tokugawa Ieyasu.
more rich and powerful than the others.
That was Donald Trump?
A lot of people support him, but a lot of people support not supporting him. They have a fight, and he wins, and starts a new government, right here. And he still lets the emperor dress like an emperor, and have very nice things. But don't get confused, this is the new government, and they are very strict. So strict they close the country. No one can leave, and no one can come in, except...
Oh yeah, I've heard this one before. That Japan was isolated basically, or it isolated itself from all the other countries in the world. They didn't want their culture to be mixed with another culture or be influenced by any other country.
Except for the Dutch, if they want to buy and sell shit.
Except for the Dutch? Why is that?
But they have to do it right here. Now that the entire country was not at war with itself, the population increased a lot. Business increased, schools were built, roads were built, everyone learned to read.
That's interesting. It's very interesting that the country is isolated, but still manages to develop the business and the schools and roads.
Books were published. There was poetry, plays, sexy times, puppet shows,
Sexy
Dutch
times.
studies. People started to study European science from books.
Why is that? I'm very curious. Why the only country that is allowed to have any kind of relation with Japan is the Netherlands?
They bought from the Dutch. We're talking geography, skeletons, physics, chemistry, astronomy, and maybe even electricity. Over time, the economic and cultural prosperity began to gradually slow down. Knock, knock.
Uh-oh.
It's the United States, with huge boats, with guns, gunboats. Open the country. Stop
Matthew Perry?
having it be closed, said the United States. There was really nothing they could do, so they signed a contract that lets the United States, Britain, and Russia visit Japan anytime they want. Choshu and Satsuma hated this. That sucks, they said. This sucks. And with almost very little outside help, they overthrew the shogunate and somehow made the emperor again and moved him to Edo, which they renamed Eastern Capital. Made
Tokyo. That's the modern day capital of Japan, right?
a new government, which was a lot more Western. They made a new constitution.
Wait, they were against the influence of Western countries, but when they overthrew the emperor, they made a new government that was influenced by the Western governments.
That was
Interesting.
pretty Western, and a military that was pretty Western. And do you know what else is Western? That's right, it's conquering stuff. So what can we conquer? Korea. They conquer Korea, taking it from its previous owner, China, and then go...
How did they manage? Like, they were isolated from the rest of the world for a long time. They didn't even have guns to fight against the US, for example. But in a short time, they managed to take over other countries.
a little bit further, and Russia rushes in out of nowhere and says, "Stop, no, you can't take that. We were going to build a railroad through here to try to get some warm water." And Russia builds their railroad, supervised by a shit ton of soldiers. And then when the railroad was done, they downgraded to a fuck ton. Did I say downgrade? I meant upgrade. And Japan says, "Can you maybe chill?" And Russia says, "How about maybe you chill?" Japan is kind of scared of Russia. You'll never guess who's also kind of scared of Russia. Great Britain. So Japan and Great Britain make an alliance together so they can be a little less scared of Russia. Feeling confident, Japan goes to war against Russia, just for a moment, and then they both get tired and stop. It's time for World War I.
Oh,
The world is about to have a war.
a disaster.
Because it's the 1900s and weapons are getting crazy, and all these empires are excited to try them out on each other. Meanwhile, Japan has been enjoying conquering stuff and wants more. And the next thing on their list is this part of China and lots of tiny islands. All that stuff belongs to Germany, which just had war declared on it by Britain because Britain was friends with Belgium, which was being trespassed by Germany in order to get to France to kick France's ass because France is friends with Russia, who was getting ready to kick Austria's ass because Austria was getting ready to kick Serbia's ass because someone from Serbia shot the leader of Austria's ass. Or actually shot him in the head. And Britain is currently friends with Japan, so you know what that means. Duh, Japan should take the islands. Which they wanted to do anyway, so they called Britain on the telly to sort of let them know. And then they did it. And they also helped Britain a little here and there with some errands and stuff. Now the war is over, and congratulations, Japan, you technically fought in the war, which means you get to sit at the negotiating table with the big dudes, where they decided who owns what. And yes, Japan gets to keep all that shit they stole from Germany. You also get to join the post-war mega alliance, the League of Nations.
Whoa, quite a lot of countries, maybe even more than half of the world is not part of it.
Whose mission statement is to try not to take over the world. The Great Depression is bad, and Japan's economy is now crappy, but the military is doing just fine, and it invades Manchuria, and the League
They did it again, but they were part of the nations, like League of Nations.
of Nations is like, "No, don't do that. If you're in the
Yeah.
League of Nations, you're not supposed to take over the world." And Japan said, "How about I do anyway?" And Japan invaded
My God.
more and more and more of China, and was planning to
Oh
invade the
my
entire
goodness.
East.
You've got mail.
It's from Germany, the new
They were very ambitious. Oh, this guy.
leader of Germany. He has a cool mustache and he's trying to take over the world and needs friends. This also got forwarded to Italy. They all decided to be friends because they had so much in common. It's time for World War II. Germany is invading the neighbors. Then they invade the neighbors' neighbors. Then the neighbors' neighbors' neighbors, who happened to be Britain, said, "Holy shit." And the United States started helping Britain because they are good friends, and started not helping Japan because they're friends and our friends are not friends. Plus they're planning on invading the entire ocean. The United States is also working on a large, very huge bomb, bigger than
Oh
any
my
other bomb
God.
ever, just in case. But they still haven't joined the war. War looks bad on TV, and the United States is really starting to care about their image. But then Japan spits on them in Hawaii and challenges them to war. And they say yes. And then Germany, as a symbol of friendship, declares war on the United States also. So the United States goes to war in Europe, and they help the gang chase Germany back into Germany. And they also start chasing Japan back into Japan. And they haven't used the bomb yet and are curious to see if it works. So they...
Whoa, that was a dark line. They're curious to see how it works.
They drop it on Japan.
Oh my god. This one always is unbelievable for me. I just cannot imagine this. It's so scary and it's so sad and it's so tragic and it's just... I don't know what to say. It's crazy.
They actually dropped 2.
Oh my god. This part, like the whole video was kind of funny, creative, but this part was heavy. It was heavy because there was a big silence and there was no jokes anymore. Like, about this matter, you cannot make any jokes. I got a little bit emotional right now.
The United States installed a new government, inspired by the United States government, with just the right ingredients for a post-war economic miracle. And Japan starts making TVs, VCRs, automobiles, and camcorders as fast as they can.
That's very fascinating.
They get rich, and the economy...
The way Germany and Japan recovered from the war is fascinating for me.
It goes wild, and then the miracle wears off. But everything's still pretty cool, I guess. Bye.
That was a quick goodbye. Well, that was super interesting, fun, and informative. I'm learning a lot, so if you have any suggestions on what I should watch or learn next, please let me know in the comments. If you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. Thank you so much for watching this with me, and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace!